Good day, everybody. I'm the Warm. This is some more 999 here for you today. Last time we began our, what would it be? I don't even know what to call these playthroughs. Because they're certainly not the final play. This isn't the final playthrough. This is, but it's something different. You know, the first three were just going through at my own pace. Well, I'm still going at my own pace. What am I saying? I was just doing the general, you know, making any sort of choices, all that sort of stuff. But now we've gotten to the point where we're solving it essentially, as I guess is how you'd put it. So yes, now we're going along this path here, and we had a couple new conversations unlocked due to the previous choices we made. Heard about Alice, and we also got confirmation that Clover was one of the kids from 9 years ago. One of the 16 kids from 9 years ago taken by Cradle Pharmaceuticals to this boat for experiments based upon morphogenic or psychic field research and experimentation. Something like that. And, it got me thinking. So, it got me thinking that I'm wondering, the people who are all here right now, I'm wondering, do they all have a connection to those events? So, to clarify what I'm saying, we know Clover was one of the 16 kids. We know Seven was a police officer trying to track them down, and he was captured and placed on this boat. We know that Lotus, or as her real name is, let me find it real quick, Miss Kashiwabara. We know that her daughter was one of her daughters, were the ones on this, were also ones on this ship. Nona. Was it both or just one? At least one of her daughters was on this ship. Might have been both. But Nona was the name we got, I think. So there's a connection there. And then we have Santa, who my guess is that his younger sister may have been one of the kids that was also on this boat. And so that leaves me to wonder, if that is the case, where does that leave the rest? So, what I'm saying is, Snake has a connection in that it's his sister, but that's so I mean it's a connection. It's his sister that was on the boat. And he's here with her. But what about the rest? We have no idea anything about the ninth man, so couldn't say. Maybe he was like a scientist or something, or a doctor or some functionary or that Cradle Pharmaceuticals that was involved in all this, and maybe he recognized this place and he started freaking out because he sort of knew what was going down. Maybe that's basically my only guess. We don't have any other we don't have anything to go on really for Ninth Man. And so that leaves Ace, June, and Junpei. And I think for June and Junpei, we're definitely older than Clover. I think she's in high school. I think June and Junpei are certainly adults. I can't remember if we ever got their actual ages. 20s or 30s, certainly, right? That definitely around that range, I'd say. And so the question is, what are their connections? Assuming that my theory is right and all the people have a connection to what went down, what would their connection be? Junpei doesn't seem to have one, certainly. Um, maybe June's has some sort of past she's not talked about, but I'm not sure there's been any evidence of that so far. And then, of course, we have Ace, who I'm thinking may be the big bad. If I had to, if I were told for sure Zero is one of us, my guess would be Ace at the moment. And so, what would be the? Well, there's also the theory that there might be two zeros because there were two symbols. So I'm still not entirely certain about it, and I still thought that voice that was being distorted could have been a woman's voice. So I'm not sure. But yeah, so that's it's a theory I thought of just in the meantime between last time, that everyone here has some sort of connection, but hard to tell with Junpei, because he certainly doesn't have any memory or idea about anything that's been going on thus far. So the only reason then he would be here, going along with that theory, is that he's related to someone who was here, because Lotus was the mother of one, and Snake's the brother of one. Santa could be the brother of one. So maybe that's June. I don't know. I don't know. In any case, let's get back to this, shall we? We may be able to get to our ending this time around. Chart room. Let's see what the
pocket watch. Might I take a look at it?
Now, last time we were aggressive towards Ace, but I don't recall ever checking to see whether that actually unlocked it or not. So
Hey, man. What are you doing over in this room?
ooh, I'm actually sorry. We know this part. Let's calm down. Again, I'm not sure which of these options is correct, but just so I can see what the other option would have been, because this was a curious confrontation we had here.
Well, not a problem, but...
That's a lie. I wanted to get rid of Ace. I sent him to the wheelhouse at the beginning for a reason.
And why was that
I
exactly?
wanted to talk to Clover alone.
Oh, interesting.
There's something I want to ask her, and I don't want anyone to overhear us. I'm pretty sure Clover won't talk if there's anyone else around. I'm a little desperate to send him back, quick. He has to leave.
Ace opened his mouth, then took another look at Junpei and shut it again. A small smirk appeared on his face.
Oh, I see. Of course.
He looked Junpei over, then glanced at Clover.
I apologize for the intrusion. Well, best of luck.
Ace gave Junpei a knowing pat on the shoulder and left. Junpei let out a sigh and brushed a few drops of sweat from his forehead. He turned and found himself looking straight into Clover's. So that's what that's what it was? I don't remember. He may have mentioned it, but I don't remember him ever expressing a desire to speak to Clover here. Maybe it's because I chose the other option, and in that option he just never mentions it, but that's interesting. Okay. She'd heard what Ace had said. She regarded Junpei with caution.
What was that about?
She was clearly suspicious, and with good reason.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Junpei's eyes widened, and he held up his hands in a gesture of innocence.
No, it's not like that.
What's it like then?
I just wanted to hear the rest of that story.
Ah. So, I see. So obviously, okay. Yeah, obviously it's a continuation of what we just were doing before.
I didn't get a chance to ask you about it until now.
I see. So, okay. So his frustration and anger in that is that he wanted to talk about Clover. But when I originally did this part of the playthrough, going through here, I hadn't had the previous conversation with Clover or, gone down that route. So I didn't really understand why he was upset or frustrated. I guess it's to do with this, but Yeah, because his anger and frustration didn't make much sense to me. It sort of makes some sense now, but it felt strange the first time. Okay.
What story?
About the experiment, remember? The one you started to tell me in the operating room? You said something about an experiment that happened here 9 years ago.
Clover bit her lip. She stared down at the floor for several long moments, and when she spoke, it was barely audible.
I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk about that right now.
One second, please. Okay. Back. All right.
I'm just not in the mood, okay? You understand, right? I keep thinking about my brother. I can't stop. I mean, who would do something like that to my brother?
I mean, presumably you would. So at this point, she has not come to the conclusion on, what the digital root would be.
I can't forgive them. I'm not gonna let them get away with it.
Or has she? Huh.
They're gonna pay for it. I promise. So.
Her shoulders were shaking. Drops of blood had sprung up on her lips where she was biting them. She wiped it off and looked at Junpei, her eyes fierce and angry.
Junpei, who do you think did it?
Uh-oh. Be very careful with how you answer, Junpei. Her voice was cold and scarcely above a whisper. Junpei gulped.
Well, if what Seven said was right, then there would have to be at least 2 of them. You need at least 3 people to open the numbered doors, and if you subtract Snake, that means there were at least 2 other people.
Unless it was Ace using the 9th man's bracelet. That's another possibility, but we'll see if they get to it.
You're right. So, what does that mean?
Well, if we just look at the bracelet numbers, we should be able to figure it out. Who could have opened door 3 with Snake? Well, really, who and who, or who and who?
That's yes. If it was actually including Snake, 4 people.
You mean it could have been 4 people?
Well, technically, it's possible.
Yes, I remember talking about this long ago when it first happened.
I don't know. That doesn't seem very likely.
I would agree.
Why?
I'll tell you later. Why don't we just assume it was only 2 other people for now?
Oh, she has a specific reason. I would just say, for 3 other people to be involved in that, a group of what is ostensibly a bunch of strangers coming together to murder him. 3 people doing that, and then them all keeping their cool and not letting it slip. It just seems a bit unlikely. But she seems to have another specific reason. I'll be interested to hear that.
Okay, got it. Let's do that then.
Then who do you think it could be?
Junpei crossed his arms and thought. Snake's bracelet number was 2. Which 2 bracelet numbers added to 2 would give the digital root of 3? Yes, I already know the answer. So we have to just do it. Ace and Santa, Ace and June, Ace and 7, Ace and Lotus, Santa and June, Santa and 7. I mean, it's this one.
Would it be Santa and 7? The digital root for Snake, Santa, and 7 is 3. Wait, hold on. Are Santa and 7 the killers?
I don't think so.
What's wrong?
Clover looked at Junpei and he looked back at her. There was no point in hiding it.
I thought about it.
He told her his conclusions.
That's what I thought.
She looked less surprised than he'd expected.
Santa and 7. If it was 2 people, then that's the only combination that works.
Yes, but what if it was 1 person?
Hey, wait a minute there. Don't you think it's a little too early to be jumping to conclusions? Well, all I said is that those 2 would have been able to open door 3 with your brother. There might be other possibilities.
Well, What other possibilities?
He didn't have an answer. He was ready to admit defeat when Clover
Are
spoke.
you saying you think that it was 3 or 4 people? I really don't think that's likely.
Why not?
Can I borrow your pen and paper?
Clover put her hand out expectantly.
Yeah, here.
I always forget he has a pen and paper with him. Junpei pulled out his pen and paper, or excuse me, his pen and pad of paper and handed them to her. She opened the notebooks and wrote down several simple addition problems. Eventually, she had 8, which provided a digital root of 3. Oh boy. A is 2 plus 1 plus 3 plus 6 is 12. 2 plus 1 plus 4 plus 5.
What's this?
These are the combinations for 3 or 4 people. These 8 combinations are the only possible ones.
Oh, I see.
I'm biased towards my own guess, alright? I want it to be one person.
Junpei,
Yeah?
I can trust you, right?
Of course. Why would you need to ask that?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave you a Clover. I mean, that should just, cement his trustworthiness.
So then I should get rid of B, D, G, and H, right?
Of course. Just cross them out. And you should take off yours too. The ones with 4.
So, what does that leave?
A and E.
Ha. So, Seven and Santa and Ace. And Lotus. My goodness. That's or no. Ace, Santa, Seven, and Lotus, yeah. Man, what a combination there. And then Ace, Santa, and June.
Wait, it can't be A.
Why?
Because June's in that one.
Yeah, but you're just saying that because you're biased because of June.
There's no way in hell she'd do something like that.
Are you sure?
I'd bet my life on it.
Okay then. I can cross off A too, right?
Again, there's still a 1 second. Okay, hang on. Pause 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, alright. So again, here's the thing. So our perspective character is Junpei, right? And part of that sort of deal, when you're in someone's perspective, right? Then you kind of want to believe that they're being honest within their own head and in their memories, right? Now, of course, there could be games or stories or movies or whatever where the main character is an unreliable narrator or source. So, it doesn't have to always be the case, but in general, you should, at least I feel like you should usually be able to trust in some ways. You don't always have to trust their perspective, but you could trust that they're not sort of... If they're in their own head, there's no reason to lie, right? Even if Junpei could lie to someone else, there's no reason for them. They can be honest in their own head, usually, is what I'm trying to say. And Junpei he's been completely out of the loop. Everything he's learned about the Nonary game and other characters, it's the first time he's learned it. He doesn't appear to have any history with any of this. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because if we're going with the theory that everyone is connected in some way with someone it is related back to what happened 9 years ago, then they're either related to the events that happened here, or they're related to someone who is. And the only person Junpei's related to in that way is June. So, I'm not saying June actually did this, but I would not be surprised if June is actually involved in this in some way. I think that is a possibility. I'm not sure on it, but it's something that's in my mind. It's something I think is a possibility. Yeah. Because I do think it is... I think it is possible there could be 2 zeros, just from that, the 2 symbols we saw. Now, whether that's like Ace and Santa or Ace and June, I'm not sure. Hard to say still. But it's just funny, the fact that one of the possibilities here is Ace, Santa, and June. And just reading that and hearing that, I've just found myself thinking, you know, that's not as crazy as it first appeared, you know? So, not, again, not sure of anything. I still think it's possible that it could have been Ace with using the Ninth Man's bracelet, because that would throw us all off. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
Well, what have we got left?
E.
Ace, Santa, 7, Lotus.
Do you know what this means?
Everyone besides me, you, and June would be working together.
Do you think that's likely? If there were 4 people working together, they wouldn't be very cautious. I don't think they'd try that hard to hide what they were doing if they outnumbered us, right?
It's a fair point.
Well, you do have a point.
And besides, if Ace and Seven are working together, they could have easily gotten rid of me when I went to the shower room with them. But they didn't. They didn't even try anything. If they were killers, why wouldn't they?
Her voice was calm, but Junpei only had to look in her eye to know it was a forced calm. There were tears forming in the corner of her eyes, and she was blinking furiously to keep them back. Perhaps, by attempting an objective analysis of who might have killed her brother, she had been able to distance herself from the harsh reality of his death. The more she struggled to act unconcerned, the more Junpei felt his heart tighten.
Oh, I see. Anyway, I understand now. It seems pretty unlikely that it was as many as 3 or 4 people.
Yeah,
Then that means there's a good chance it was Santa and Seven.
that's how it looks.
But why would they do it?
That's the question, huh? There was a moment of silence.
Their motive.
He laid his hand gently on her shoulder. He was close, so close to the answer. When Ace chose the worst possible moment to return. I get the feeling she may have mentioned recognizing Seven, you know, from 9 years ago. But man, of course the game's not going to let us hear whatever she was going to say. He raised a knowing eyebrow and spoke.
Have I interrupted something?
Yes, please leave.
What is it?
There was something I wanted to speak with you about, Junpei. Could you come with me for a moment?
Was he like listening in or something? You know, ear to the door or something? Was he listening on us and chose that time to stop it? He turned on his heel and walked back toward the wheelhouse.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Junpei looked over at Clover. He gave her a short nod, hoped that she would be willing to talk to him again later, and followed Ace.
What did you want to talk about?
Ace looked at Junpei and smiled, perhaps more of a smirk than a smile.
There was something I wanted to check.
Yeah? What's that?
He's gonna
If you'll excuse me.
get the paper. With no warning, Ace slipped his hand into the pocket of Junpei's vest.
Hey, what the hell are you doing?
I'm just checking.
No, stop.
Reached for Ace's arm, but it was already too late. In the older man's hands were the piece of paper Junpei had balled up and hidden in his pocket.
Just as I thought. What exactly are these pieces of paper hiding in your pocket? You switched them, didn't you, when we voted? Well, I can't say that I care.
Well, see, now that the fact that this whole branch that we've gone down, it actually makes sense why Junpei would want to choose this door now, because he wanted to speak with Clover again. So before I was wondering, what would be the motivation for Junpei to want to go here, but now we know if you do things correctly, essentially, it makes more sense. It makes more sense why Junpei would choose to come here.
I managed to get through the numbered door I wanted, despite your mischief.
Then why did you...
Oh, simple curiosity. I hope you won't think ill of me for it.
Hey, stop touching me, man. Gave Junpei a friendly pat on the shoulder, then turned on his heel and left. I'm not your buddy, pal. It was a small defeat, but it was a defeat. Junpei lost the upper hand, and he knew it. He could feel his stomach.
Damn.
Is the same dialogue. Same, not dialogue, but same as what was written before. Okay, so that was correct. Captain's quarters. Obviously, we're going to recognize the red file now. So let's do it. Red file lay in the drawer.
All ice.
All ice.
Alice.
Alice.
Does this mean...
Junpei couldn't hold back. He had to know what was in that file. Each page was covered with strange characters. They looked like tiny drawings of birds, snakes, Let's just get to the...
So it would seem.
So yes, the Uranos symbol. Bottom deck library. And we know from 7, he said something like Forest of Knowledge or something.
Bottom deck library. Oh.
Junpei remembered something he'd heard from 7 when they'd been in the chemical closet.
7 said something like...
Alice sleeps in a small chamber past the Forest of Knowledge beneath the navel of the Gigantic.
Could beneath the navel mean the bottom deck? And the Forest of Knowledge is the library? Then could Alice be in a room somewhere beyond the library?
What's wrong? Something on your mind?
Junpei blinked. Only then did he notice Ace looking at him, curiosity and concern written across his face in equal parts.
Yeah. I just remembered something.
Is that so? What about?
Well, don't laugh, okay?
There was no reason for Junpei to hide his thoughts. Maybe there is a reason, he just doesn't seem to know it. He began to explain his theory to Ace. Then he stopped. It wouldn't make sense if Ace didn't know who Alice was supposed to be. So he told Ace everything June had told him.
The Egyptian priestess, an Ice 9. Interesting.
And the woman who wouldn't melt, who was recovered from the Titanic disaster, they called her All Ice, which eventually turned into Alice, and she was purchased by an English millionaire who called himself Lord Gordain. According to 7, this ship is where he hid Alice.
And you think that he hid her in a small room, beyond the library on the bottom deck?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is just a theory.
A game theory, sorry. He stared off into a distance, his hand slowly and absent-mindedly stroking his beard. After a few moments, his hand stopped. He turned slowly to look at Junpei, and his brows drew together.
Junpei, have you ever heard of the term CAS?
I don't know. Central Airport System. I have no idea.
CAS?
Couldn't tell you.
It stands for Cells Alive System. It is an advanced technology for freezing and preserving organic matter.
And is this real or not?
Put simply, it is a technique that allows one to freeze things without the formation of ice crystals. Normally, if you freeze something fresh, water within its cells expands as it crystallizes, damaging the cell membrane. CAS, however, works differently. The object to be frozen is supercooled using magnetic fields, and then frozen instantly and uniformly, giving ice crystals no time to form. It was originally developed for the preservation of food, as an alternative to the normal freezing process. Now, however, there are rumors that it can be used for other things.
I mean, what you've described... I mean, now we're getting into sci-fi here. It sounds almost like cryogenics, something like that.
What do you mean, other things?
Well, there are obvious medical uses, but perhaps also
Yeah.
space travel.
That's what came to mind.
Space travel? Are you serious?
Surely you've heard of suspended animation. Cryogenic freezing?
Yes, I have.
It's a fairly common idea in science fiction books and films.
Indeed.
People are sometimes frozen for especially lengthy journeys through space.
That was when Junpei understood what Ace was suggesting.
Whoa, wait a minute there.
So, of course, the ancient Egyptians had access to advanced technology, so Ancient Aliens was right all along. The pyramids are actually alien space. It's all coming together. I should have realized. It's aliens all the way down. I should have known. Of course, Ace looked at him with a raised an
Are
eyebrow.
you saying that Alice was frozen using that CAS thing?
Well, I'm sure the possibility is quite low, but it is a possibility. If this special ice you call Ice 9 does indeed exist...
I swear, if this game ends with a mummy waking up, well, I honestly don't know what my reaction will be. I guess we'll cross that bridge when and if we get to it.
And CAS were used to freeze her into that sort of ice instantaneously.
You think she could be alive?
Well, I can't say for sure, of course. I'm only talking about possibilities. The melting point for Ice 9 is 96 degrees, right? If she were put somewhere where she could reach that temperature...
That's nuts. Are you really saying she could have defrosted and started walking about?
You're quite right. It does sound unbelievable. But if she had, then we would have an explanation for the man we found dead on the floor.
Would we? Would we really?
You mean the guy dressed like a captain?
Yes. He was dead when we found him. Clearly, he was murdered. But if he was murdered, then by whom? It couldn't have been one of us. That would be impossible. In order to enter the captain's quarters, one must first open door 1. That door that requires the Earth key prevented us from accessing door 1. Who was it that opened that door?
Santa and Lotus.
Right. Clearly, the two of them could not have opened door 1, or any other door for that matter. Who else then could have done so?
Junpei thought for a second.
Nobody.
After Santa and Lotus used the Earth Key, they turned back and met up with me and June. Then we returned to the large hospital room and found Ace, Seven, and Clover. While we'd gone into the shower room, Ace, Seven, and Clover had stayed behind. But it's impossible for those three to open door 1. But what about when June and I took the elevator to door 2? No, still won't work. We were only gone 5 minutes. No human being could have run to the captain's quarters, killed that guy in there, and run back that fast.
It would be impossible for any of us to be the murderer. That being the case, who could have killed him?
Well, we still don't know time of death, do we? I mean... I can't remember how they describe the blood. Like, how recent is this kill?
Wouldn't it make sense if his killer was someone who had been in the ship for some time? A person like that would know the ship well. They would know the locations of all the hidden passages and secret doors.
Oh, don't start talking about secret doors to me now. That's just not fair, sir.
The numbered door would mean nothing to someone like that. It would be a simple thing for them to enter the captain's quarters.
I'm calling BS on this, sir.
Then you're saying the killer was Alice?
It was Junpei's turn to raise an eyebrow. Ace drew his thumb across his lips thoughtfully.
Well, this is all only one possible theory.
You know, in the very first playthrough I did, we did see the coffin, and we did have someone knocking on it.
All ice. Alice, is she really somewhere on the ship?
Junpei had only one clue. The key card in his hand.
Maybe this card will give me access to the Forest of Knowledge. And the big mystery. What could be there beyond the Forest of Knowledge? Anyway, whatever. It's gonna have to wait. I can't do anything right now. I'll come back to this later.
He gripped the key card tighter and shoved it deep into his pocket. Okay, let's continue.
Huh.
Junpei snorted with grim humor for the second time since he'd come into the room. 4 screens along the bottom had a single letter each spelling out.
Z-E-R-O, huh?
It's like he's making fun of us.
What do you think?
He turned to Clover, who was standing there. Here's my hope. I'm not sure this is going to be the true end yet, but the sense I'm starting to get is maybe in this one, Clover has developed a kind of relationship with Junpei, at least a little bit, and so maybe he won't kill us, or excuse me, maybe she won't kill us when she goes on her murder spree, but, you know, who can say? Clover nodded.
Nothing.
It seemed that she cared about little. Of course, Junpei could hardly blame her. Oh wait, we should probably skip.
Well, even if he wasn't one of us, there's no way that man could be Zero.
Huh?
Don't you get it? The letters that spell Zero on the TV screen, the captain's clothes he's got on, and of course, the bracelet with a 0 on it. It's too obvious. Look, this is Zero right here. This dead body is Zero.
I did say, you know, we did have a corpse. It doesn't necessarily have to be the captain. Someone could put just, you know, have him wear the clothes.
Isn't that kind of fishy?
You're right. Only an idiot wouldn't see through something like that.
No, that's not the point. So I'm not trying to make fun of them for thinking a trick like this would work. I'm sure they didn't think it would work. Which makes me wonder.
Not gonna finish your sentence? Okay.
I think this is a challenge. A challenge from the person who's really behind all of this. He's making fun of us. Don't you get it? If whoever killed this guy really wanted us to think this corpse was Zero, they'd never have put a bracelet on him. Walking around with a Zero bracelet would be like hanging a sign around your neck that said, "I did it!" Anyone with a brain would be able to see that this guy is supposed to look like everything Zero is supposed to be, just like we did. The killer must have known we wouldn't think he was Zero and put the bracelet on him anyway. Do you know why?
Why?
Like I said, he's mocking us. Too bad, suckers. This isn't Zero. Where's the real me then? See if you can catch me. It's the same bad joke a lot of criminals like to play. They'll just sit back and watch people run in circles.
That's really twisted. But it almost seems kind of childish.
Yeah, you're right. It's really childish. It's like it's just a game to whoever this person is. That's what seems funny to me.
I mean, Zero said in the very beginning on the intercom, it's the nonary game. So, I mean, that was spelled out to us in the beginning. Junpei bent down next to the corpse.
All right, let's get back to the point. Who killed this man?
I don't know.
And what's this guy's deal? Who is he?
How would I know that? If I knew anything, I would have told you.
I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is that it's someone connected with what happened 9 years ago, but...
You have no idea who he is.
Why would I?
Junpei sat back on his haunches and thought.
We should check and see if he's got anything on him that might tell us who he is.
I'm surprised we didn't do this in the first place, but...
Give me a hand here, Clover. We gotta flip him over. How else are we gonna search his pockets?
Clover didn't move.
Okay, fine. Guess I'll do it.
Junpei had no choice but to move the body on his own.
Here we go.
He grabbed hold of an area not completely covered in blood and shoved. It took a moment, but eventually Junpei felt the man's bulk begin to shift. But just as he did,
Huh?
something fell from the man's left wrist.
Hey, it's the...
The bracelet with 0 on its face.
Lastly, let us discuss how to remove the bracelets. There are only 2 ways to do so. 1. You escape from this ship. 2. Your heart rate reaches 0. In other words, once the bracelet is taken outside the confines of the ship, or detects that the wearer's heartbeat has fallen to 0, it will shut down automatically.
See, this was such a deceptive way to word this, because that's what this statement has been, what has been, you know, causing me to be so hesitant to suggest that, you know, bracelets could be used without the wearer.
Oh, God.
Junpei stared at the bracelet.
This man... He's dead, isn't he?
Really? Junpei, what are you talking about? What? What do you mean? Okay.
No, it's just... I guess I didn't really think about it until right now.
Okay, got it. Just the surprise of dealing with a real dead body. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, got it. He's not... Okay, let's just move on.
If his bracelet's off, that means he's dead.
It's just sinking in. He understood it. It just didn't sink in till just now. I get you.
Well, it's pretty obvious that he's dead. You don't really need to look at his bracelet to figure out that he's dead.
Yeah. I guess you're right. It is pretty obvious. Well, he looks a lot better than the other bodies we've seen, though.
Ooh, Junpei.
You know?
Junpei, no, not... That was a bad one.
I mean, if there wasn't all this blood, he'd almost look like he was still alive.
That was not the correct thing to... excuse me. That was not the correct thing to say.
I mean, I know it's kind of a messed up thing to say, but he kind of has it better.
Junpei,
you know?
this is... Junpei, you're going down a bad train of thought here. Do not say this.
Dying from a bomb going off inside of you? I mean, that's just...
Junpei! Junpei!
Some of Snake's bones went right through his skin.
Junpei! Okay, now you're taking the piss now.
I think the explosion must have thrown him against a wall or something.
What is causing this? Why are you doing this?
There was a broken bone just sticking out of his left arm. And...
Okay. Man. There's Tactless, and then there's whatever this just was. Suddenly, Junpei realized what he was saying. How could he have been so cruel? He clapped his hands over his mouth. But it was already too late. He turned to look at Clover. She was glaring at him furiously. Well, all that goodwill we built up this playthrough appears to have gone to waste.
What did you just say?
Her words sounded cold. He knew an apology could hardly atone for what he'd done, but he tried anyway.
Oh man, I am so sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I really don't know what I was thinking. I mean...
Man, sometimes Junpei, like in the one playthrough, in the Yellow Submarine playthrough, when Junpei tricks everyone into going to door 3, he's cunning, and he's almost cruel, you know, and how he kind of forces Santa and Lotus to react, all for his own gain, essentially. And then we have moments like the other ending that's down this route, where he's just so passive and just doesn't do anything. And then we have this Junpei, who's just... I don't know what that was. That was not good. That was I thought the game was making a joke almost, but no, it looks like Clover did hear this, and it's like he just had no idea what he was talking. Okay, never mind. Let's just...
No, that's not what I'm talking about. What did you say about his arm?
Oh. Okay. We are just moving past it. Okay. Gotcha.
Arm?
Yes, his left arm. You said it, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I did, but... I mean, didn't you see it too?
Oh, wait, what did he say? There was a broken bone sticking out of his left arm. What, Did we ever confirm where Snake's bracelet was?
Of course not. I could barely look at him. There's no way I was gonna see the details.
Clover took a quick deep breath.
Are you sure it was his left arm?
What's the significance with the left arm? Junpei thought back.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
And he had a broken bone, right?
What the hell are you getting at here?
Just shut up and answer me!
She shoved her face closer to his. He could see the fire in her eyes. Junpei winced and swallowed.
Yeah, he did. It was pretty bad, too. The bone was sticking out of the arm.
No sooner were the words out of his mouth than Clover's expression changed. So I guess that was just a joke, and she actually picked up on something he mentioned.
Clover?
Did I say this? No sooner were words out of his mouth than Clover's expression changed.
What's wrong? Look, I'm sorry if I said anything.
Suddenly she was crying. Junpei wasn't sure what to do.
Thank you.
It was close to the last thing he had expected to hear. Me too, actually.
Huh? What are you...
Junpei had no idea what just happened. He didn't think he'd done anything worthy of thanks, and he couldn't understand why she would have chosen that moment to begin crying. So he simply stood there confused.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
She thanked him again, and then something even stranger happened. Clover threw herself into Junpei's surprised arms.
Hey, what's going on with you?
I'm sorry, it's just... I'm so happy.
Why?
The body in the shower room, it isn't his. It isn't my brother.
What? What do you mean? Well, certainly that's, something I'd not considered. Yeah, that's something I'd never considered. That body in there is not Snake, and he's, what, hiding somewhere? What? Is he in the coffin? Is Snake in the coffin? What in the world is going on here?
Huh?
It's not Snake.
Why on earth would you think that?
Because his left arm is...
What, did he get like a... What, did he break his... I don't even know what. Did he have to get like a prosthetic or something? Or a replacement for... What is the...
I'm sorry. I really shouldn't be talking about this.
Jimmy decided it would be prudent not to press her. No! Press her for more! I need to hear this. If she did not wish to tell him, she certainly had a reason for doing so. Perhaps more importantly, however, if Clover was so certain, she was likely right. That meant that the body in the shower room wasn't Snake. It wasn't much, but the knowledge lifted some of the weight from Junpei's heart.
He's still alive. I'm so happy.
I mean, we don't know that, but okay. Tears shone in her eyes. Those tears melted Junpei's heart. As she cried, she had pushed herself up against his chest like a child. Junpei put his arms around her and held her tight.
I'm so glad.
Well, you know, Clover, I am glad too, because I am thinking you're probably not going to be a psycho murderer now, so that's good.
Huh?
Junpei, you were right.
Huh?
So this was all because Clover didn't closely examine the body? That's a bit of a... was that a gamble on the culprit's part? Did they just assume Clover wouldn't look? Or did they not realize that Clover looking would lead to her realizing the truth?
No matter what happens, you can never lose hope. You have to remember what's most important, and that's to have faith and to have love. If you can remember all of those, that'll bring you good luck.
Hey. I mean, it wasn't, that's not a bad series of lines that Junpei said. I guess. Clover reached into a pocket and pulled something out.
That's...
It was a laminated bookmark with a 4-leaf clover.
I only made it here because you gave me this. I was suspicious of everybody. I was angry and miserable. But because I had this 4-leaf clover, because of what you said to me,
Yeah.
Junpei hadn't thought his words would have had such an effect on her. Her words were making him feel a little awkward.
Thank you so much, Junpei.
She looked up at him. He scratched his nose and pretended to notice something interesting somewhere else in the room.
Oh, if you really want to thank somebody, you should be thanking Santa.
Santa? Why?
Well, he was the one who gave me that thing. And the words for each leaf, I got that from him too.
Oh.
Well, that is true, Junpei. Maybe not ruin the moment. And suddenly, Clover broke away from Junpei.
Huh?
He looked confused. He hadn't thought she'd react that poorly. Clover began to pace across the room. Six steps to the left, 6 steps to the right. Another 6. Don't give me another what is it? Don't give me another crazy twist right now. And then she stopped.
Did Santa really tell you those things?
Well, specifically, he said he didn't like those things. Her eyes were serious but not angry.
Yeah, he did. Did I say something wrong?
Oh no, not at all. In fact, this could be really good news, I think.
In what way?
You think?
Santa knew about the words and the clover. The only people who should know about that are the other subjects.
So wait, how old is he exactly? I would assume he's a bit older than her. I again, it's hard to say. I get the sense that like June and Junpei are like a little older than Santa, and Santa's like a little older than Clover. But it's hard to say.
Subjects.
So you're saying I was thinking maybe Santa's sister was a subject. Could it be Santa was a subject?
The other people who were in the experiment 9 years ago, with my brother and me.
Your brother was in the experiment. What's the age difference between you two?
But he's blind, and I was part of the Nevada test group.
Nevada test? What in the world?
So neither of us would be able to recognize the faces of the people who were on this boat.
There's what? So wait, you weren't part of the 16 group. There's a separate group? What is going on here?
Whoa. Okay, time out.
I agree. Time out. Now's not the time to be cautious, Junpei. We need answers now. Junpei held up his hands. He took a deep breath and let it out.
Let's just calm down for a second, okay? Start from the top. Don't start with the end and then jump to the middle. You gotta start with 1 and then move to 2 and 3 and 4 and so on. If you don't tell me stuff in the right order, I'm never gonna be able to figure it out.
Okay.
Clover nodded.
All right, let's start with this experiment. What happened on this boat 9 years ago?
Do you know about morphogenetic fields?
I've heard of it, Clover, yes.
Morphogenetic fields?
He did, and the realization sent chills down Junpei's spine.
All right, how about this? Theory of the telepathic mechanism.
I think Lotus mentioned something like that.
Junpei recounted what Lotus had told him earlier. Clover nodded.
Telepathy, huh? Well, that's not really it, but I suppose it's similar.
So they were testing telepathy on this ship?
Yeah, I guess so.
So, what exactly did they have you guys do?
The same thing that we're doing now. Exactly the same thing.
Really? Going through nonary games? Okay. So my thought that... See, I had two thoughts when I heard about the whole case 9 years ago thing. One that was exactly this. It was that this is just another experiment involving that. And the other theory I had was that this is not another experiment, but something done in response to those experiments. But you're saying it's theory one. This is exactly the same thing, huh? And you decided not to tell anyone that information?
What?
The nonary game. 9 people were put on this boat, and 9 others were put in the building in Nevada, and the game started.
18 people? Oh, wait, we had 16 kids. 16 kids, 7 was on the boat, 17. Who was the 18th person? Okay, there's one unaccounted for person in that group. Well, I don't know who all the kids are yet, but Junpei grabbed the sides of his head.
Look, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. What do the nonary game and some telepathy experiment have to do with each other? Am I missing something here?
So I guess with Santa being a potential one as well, we have when Zero was saying, "Oh, some of you have done the nonary game before." That's potentially 3 people now that may have been a part of it. What if it ends up being something crazy and something like Junpei's the only person who is just not involved. Every other person was involved except Junpei. He's the odd one out. She looked back, sudden tears. What had happened to her in Nevada?
The ability to access a morphogenetic field is affected by a couple of things.
How come you and Snake or Santa never just brought up what was going on? Like, surely if either you or him had brought up the test, you'd both realize, oh hey, we were both test subjects before. Why hesitate? What's the deal?
The first is epiphany, and the other is danger. You know how sometimes when you're up against a really tough problem, and then the answer just kind of pops in your head?
I don't know.
That's an epiphany.
Oh, you just mean in general, epiphany. I see.
And what you learn from the epiphany can be transmitted with telepathy.
Don't know about that part.
When you add danger to that equation, then it gets easier to transmit that information over telepathy.
So you're saying the nonary game was supposed to introduce that element of danger?
Yeah, but it couldn't be just any old danger.
It had to be life or death.
It had to be life and death.
Oh, she just said it.
And someone did actually die. A girl.
I knew it. I knew it. 7 said so.
Huh.
Junpei felt the sudden grip of despair on his heart. Something deep and distant, powerful, something deep and distant and powerful squeezed, and for a moment he felt very, very empty and alone. How long have I been going? I've been going for an hour. Let's finish this scene.
She was on the boat with my brother.
Wait, so you were in Nevada, and your brother was on the boat? What?
I was in Nevada. I never met her, but I did hear her name.
Owie or Light?
Her name was...
Oh, come on, Ace. Don't do that. The sound of the door opening was like a gunshot. Junpei spun around.
Oh, my apologies. I seem to have disturbed you.
Yeah, where have you been, buddy? You had a lot of opportunity to interrupt us here, and you just chose now, huh?
Ace.
You two must have strong stomachs. I can't imagine how you could stay in this room for so long.
Ace glanced down at the floor. At the corpse, covered in blood.
At any rate, Junpei, would you be so kind as to come and help me with something? I'm having a little trouble, and I could really use your assistance. Come on. It'll only take a moment.
With that, he turned and walked back to... Pardon me. With that, he turned and walked back toward the communications office. Clover waited until he was out of sight, then spoke in a small, quiet voice.
I don't want Ace to hear us. We can talk about this later.
Huh? Hey, wait.
Clover ignored him. From outside, Junpei could hear Ace calling.
Junpei? What are you doing in there? Hurry up.
Grumbling to himself, Junpei stomped off toward the communications office. Okay. I think I have to start this if I want to just save. Yes, finally. My goodness. Oh, man. Stretch. Gotta stretch after that. Oh. Oh, my goodness. Snake's not dead. Nevada. 2 groups. A mystery person. An Egyptian mummy killed the captain. What in the world is going on here? Okay. Well, I guess we'll do that ending next time. I need to sort all this out. I need to write all this down and think about this. I'll be going back over this episode, I think, and just to, because the info dump. This was an info dump and a half. Sorry if I was a bit loud. I'm flabbergasted. Yeah, okay. I don't think there's anything more to say now. There'll be a lot more to say next time, I feel. In any case, hope you're all doing well. I've been The Worm. This has been 999, and I hope to see you next time for more of this, I guess. Have a good one.